I truly have to disagree with what some of this guy says, because quite frankly, there's a lot of scientific fact that supports the creation view. And, a man who is well respected, a man called Richard Milton, wrote a book called The Facts of Life, Shattering the Myths of Darwinism. Now, he in actual fact is an atheist, so let's start off with that. But he's an engineer. He's been an editor of a newspaper. He also has been a scientific journalist, and he knows quite a lot. In the time we've got available, I can't actually go through everything that's in here, but what I'll tell you is that there are 10 methods of measuring the age of the Earth. Not one, 10. And I'll just go through a few of them. Well, the 10 of them, actually. I'll go through the 10 of them. And then you can start to understand why creation is right. And the scientific community now supports that. And even the fossil record supports creation. Plus the archaeology supports the Bible in tens of thousands of points. Just in one area alone, in the last 4 years, they found 1,000 points of reference that agree with the Bible account. So if it says there's a valley there, it's there. The river at the bottom, it's there. A mountain is there with a altar halfway up, it's there. There's a city there, and there's a wall there. Whatever, it's all there. So it's not flawed. Far from flawed. As a matter of fact, it is probably the most checked out book in history. But I think it's got to a point now where instead of these rather sick people sort of saying, oh, the Bible is wrong, and in my lifetime, I'm quite old now, I'm 66, I have been able to see lots of experts come up and say the Bible is wrong, only to be proved wrong a couple of months later or 2 or 3 years later. And but they don't apologize. They go on to the next mistake, and so it carries on. And we've got this going on today hugely, but we are being supported more and more by the archaeology, the science, etc. Now here we are. Here are 10 methods of measuring time. The radiogenic helium in the atmosphere. Now we know there's so much helium being let out in the atmosphere each year. And that amount of radiogenic helium in the atmosphere supports an age of less than 175,000 years, not 14 billion. I've got something else that isn't in these books, which I'll point out to you in a minute. Poynting-Robertson effect, that shows less than 100,000 years. Persistence of interplanetary dust, less than 100,000 years. Non-equilibrium of carbon-14, less than 30,000 years. Persistence of short-period comets, less than 10,000 years. Magnetic field declare, less than 10,000 years. Dissolved nickel in the oceans, less than 9,000 years. Meteoritic dust in the atmosphere, recent origin of the Earth. Continental drift, ice cap rupture, recent origin of life. And I'll go on to 2 other things. There is also extensive sort of work having been done on the speed of light over the eons of time, and when you realize that our carbon dating method is like a faulty clock, because the speed of light since creation, when the speed of light made, according to the carbon-14, say 1 orbital year looked like 14 million orbital years because of the intensity of the radiation at the time, making all the molecular structures vibrate and probably have a lot more heat in the molecular structures of the Earth. That is an interesting point, because now if you've got a faulty clock like measuring with carbon-14, that sacrificial dating, you in actual fact find that if it says it's 14 billion years old, you've got to actually divide it then by, say, a couple of million to try and get back to the correct time, which will show, say, 12 or 15,000 years. And that has been proven by a guy called Dr. Barry Setterfield, who was in charge of the geophysical year for the Southern Hemisphere. Plus, the records come from MIT, and also the Max Planck Institutes and various organizations like that, who have been keeping these records and checking these records over the last couple of hundred years. And then there's another little factor. If the planet was 14 billion years old, and you divide, let's say the continental drift is an inch a year, it's half an inch, all right, a year, and you divide that in, I think it works out to something like 21,000 miles that all the continents have been subducted a few times. So, there's no bones left. They've all been burnt in the magma, and so there's no bones. But yet we find bones in the various sediments, etc., and under the oceans, etc. So it's clearly it's not the creationists that have a problem. It is the evolutionists who've got a problem. And now it's found that the fossil record does not certainly support evolution, because there is no any animals that have crossed over in the records there. It supports the kind. You've got a cow kind, a dog kind, and a sheep kind, etc., and they all come all the way down. So it's a parallelism, not coming from one point like the tree shows. And even a lot of now the high priests of evolution, you can see that on various of the videos on this site from this YouTube, which is an amazing site. On that site of there, I've just been gathering this information over a long period of time so people can check it out. Anyway, there we are. I just thought I'd give you some interesting information, and thank you very much for listening, and please visit that site. And as I say, it's all to do with the information that we're giving you. Thank you.